Good morning, guys. Well, good afternoon now, guys, from East Hollywood, California. Today being September 26th, 2025. Uh, just want to give a quick little update. It feels like I haven't posted much, and I'm sorry if it does come off that way. It's not that I'm trying not to. I just really like I have a lot going on too. Like I have in my personal life. So then it's kind of hard to keep a schedule going. But I try to aim for at least one video a week. Um, but yeah, just pretty much just a lot going on outside of in my personal life. But aside from that, a couple of things happening. Like the other day, a gentleman he reached out to me on social media, and then he's actually a podcaster on YouTube for like people who have addiction stories or problems, experiences, or like they have like some sort of like addiction related like disease, like transplants and you name it. And he reached out. He's like, "Hey man, I think you'd be a great guest on the show." And I was like, "Whoa, hold on." I was like, "I know who you are." It's like some guy that I actually follow myself on YouTube. I follow his podcast because I do follow other people who talk about similar things. Like I'm not just going based off of like my experiences. When I answer these sorts of questions or like talk about these kinds of things. And then it was a pretty cool podcast. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of fun. I actually might have another one in the works, to be honest with you. With another podcaster. I actually spoke to him yesterday, and he asked one of the first things he asked me is like, "Do you have a microphone?" I was like, "No." I was like, "I should probably get one, huh?" Like take it a little bit more serious. This is professional stuff here. But the podcast I liked it. Like I've never really had somebody ask me questions like that. Probably why I think the Q&A series I'm gonna keep going on this channel is probably like still gonna be my favorite thing. It's I don't know. It's very personal. That's why. With that being said, it got me thinking. Like, there's a few questions correlating to one primary one. That one being like, what is it like to be an alcoholic? There's just a few questions he was asking me about. Like, I really just felt stuck. And I'm a guy that likes to really process things. Like, if something happens, I'll sit and think and feel like for a couple moments, a couple days maybe, if need be. But for some reason, that question was just like I've been an alcoholic for a long time. Like I'm a recovering alcoholic, technically speaking. Uh, I don't know. It's never no one's really blatantly asked that question what it's like. So I'm gonna try to divide it into two different areas, starting with the physical, and then the mental. I personally think the mental side of it, the mental aspect of it, the mental emotional aspect of it. Sorry, is a lot more intense. Like a lot more scarring. I don't know personally, like because the physical part just feels like your punishment for all the bad things you've done. At the end of the day, like I pretty much did do this to myself, and I have no one to blame but myself. So physically, the moment it stops being fun, and you start to notice like your body having physical reactions to it and to not having it. That transition, you notice it. It happens fast. I still remember the first time. I think I was like 22 or 21 or 23, where I had the shakes, and I was just having like soup in the morning, and I noticed it, and then the person I was eating breakfast with was like, "What was that?" And I was like, "I don't know," but I knew it's because I was drinking liquor, like a lot of liquor, like like a lot of liquor. Uh, okay, yeah, because once you get comfortable with that, which looks weird and creepy and just all kinds of wrong, it's like a snowball effect from there. You don't mind smelling like it, being all like oily in the face, hiding it. The fact that like you only probably eat like once or twice a day, because there's something about that burn you get, man, when you don't eat and drink. It doesn't compare. It doesn't hit the same when you have something in your stomach. But yeah, it started with me there, and then I found myself to be extremely irritated at everything. And then I was still relatively young, so my body could kind of handle it so long as I just kept doing it all the time. So I always had liquor at home or beer at home. I always had liquor at work, and then I always have somewhere to go to after work, right? And then you start to notice like aches and pains that weren't there like originally. This is just my story, like the physical side, like you know aches and pains. Okay, yeah, like yeah, I don't know if it's all the sugar that you're consuming with it, but you start to feel sluggish, really, really sluggish. And it's okay because you're still in your head, you're like, okay, everything's fine. I still feel like a macho man. I still feel great. I'm still paying my bills. I still have a job. I still am somebody. Um, but then you start to find yourself doing it more and more, like, and you don't know why. At least I didn't know why. For a long time, I just get thinking, I was like, I'm just gonna keep drinking because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like a rock star. Honestly, it just it gives you this tunnel vision and this level of false confidence and euphoria that you can't explain it. Nothing compares to it. Like like alcohol. Look at me, just even the way I'm talking about it is disgusting. As I think about it. Maybe it's because I went to a bar yesterday with my wife. No, I didn't drink. I don't drink. I like doing things like that to just see if I still have self control, and I do. It's still nice. It's like it's hard to look at when I see all those bottles there, but I'm not gonna like be the guy to be like, yeah, let me ruin my life over a cocktail, right? Yeah, okay, then and then I don't know. Personally, with me, I started to know like I started to notice yellowing of my eyes, like in my teeth early on. They weren't like bright yellow yet, per se. Kind of hard to tell when your life is always at night. I can't stress that enough. Being a bartender really made everything so much worse. And I was rarely ever awake during the daytime. I was too tired, too hungover. You know, losing the weight. That was okay with me. That was okay. I was like losing the weight, not eating at all. Just people asking you if you're doing drugs on the low and you're not. That's okay, right? But when like right around the time when I got diagnosed with cirrhosis, that being last year in August, I started to notice disgusting physical changes. Like I wasn't losing weight. I was more like my muscles were eating themselves. They still kind of are. And it's like your body you start to look like that alien creature from Men in Black, the cockroach guys with the big gut and then the long arms and the long legs. I think that's where I like mentally drew the line. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not, I'm not going out like this. The ascites, the yellowing of the eyes, and then the teeth, shaking all the time, just feeling fragile and sick and almost zombie-like. And I couldn't stand the bleeding gums anymore. The bleeding gums, that was the worst one. It was just disgusting. It's like red mucus that tastes like metal and rot. I'm sorry if that's too graphic for you guys, but it's the truth. And that's how I knew I was drinking too much, depending on how much of that glop I still had in my teeth. And then if that's not grossing you out, what's wrong with you? Okay. And then I still didn't care. Didn't care. I was like yellow eyes, whatever. I see people with yellow eyes all the time. Don't ever do that to yourself. At least, no, that's my recommendation. Don't try to justify your bad decisions because someone else is like able to take it. Like we're all built different. I'm 29 and I have liver cirrhosis. And like, yeah, it kind of feels like it happened overnight. The dry heaving, man. I couldn't stand the dry heaving. I'd give myself like red blood shots in the eyes just from like trying to throw up stuff that isn't there anymore. It became a part of my daily routine. I was like, whatever's stuck in there, left over, I need to get it out. And then as soon as I get it out, I need to make sure I get some kind of beer, preferably not beer. I need like a truly like a seltzer, something, anything strong, wine. If I'm lucky, I'll have leftover wine in the fridge. But throwing up, eyes, bloodshot, you got drool coming out of your mouth, and you're just like so ashamed of what you're looking at. And then you look down, it's not even throw up. Goes from looking like bile to like red arroz con leche. You guys know what that is? It's like rice rice pudding that Hispanic people make. Now imagine that, but just red, like blood color, but not fresh blood, like blood that's been sitting there for a while. You start to feel insecure about it, so you're constantly spraying like Listerine in your mouth, or talking like in a different direction than the person you're having a conversation with. I just became so ugly to myself, to the point where I was just like embarrassed of it. I always like being presentable and like looking clean and well put together. And then the fact that I was so sick, no matter what I did, I could comb my hair, I could dress up nice, like I could wear my boots, but I still looked so sick to the point where it was unappealing. Everyone else starts to notice. You start lying to yourself like, I'm not that skinny, I'm not that yellow, I'm not that much of a loser, but you are. You really, really are. And now you can't even hide it because it's written all over your face. No pun intended. Oh, no joke intended. Okay, now that's the end of it, right? That's the end to me, because I'm clean now. I'm like I don't know 215 days sober. uh, I was going to yeah, that's the end of it. But progressively you start to depend on it more and more and more, creating the psychological damage aspect of it. But like me, on anything, I still feel like there's a giant hole in my chest that like alcohol just left. It becomes a part of you. This nasty thing. The best way to compare it is that toxic ex-girlfriend you don't know why you keep calling late at night. Like you know what you're doing is bad, but you do it anyway. Um, so when you part ways with it, you start to look back and you're even more embarrassed because you realize how ridiculous it is. I kept drinking after I was diagnosed. I was like, it didn't occur to me how stupid that looked. Like I was like, dude, you're somebody's dad. Why do you not care enough to be presentable? Like my opinion of my kids matters to me a lot. That's probably like the only group of people that immediately where I'm like, their opinion matters to me. Everyone else can shove it. I don't I don't think too much of what other people think about me nowadays, but my kids are definitely an exception. Yeah, it leaves you like questioning your place in society. Me, I'm talking about me now. Like, of why I have been. I don't know who I am in society without it. I don't. You know, I have all these things I'm interested in that are coming back to me now, and and I don't know which one of these is my passion or was this just am I clinging on to an old memory or an old feeling from a drunken adventure I had in the past. I don't know. I'm left questioning so many things. I've been drunk pretty much my entire adult life up until the last 7 months. That gives me anxiety. It gives me a whole lot of self doubt. Like people tell me all the time, they're like, stop being so hard on yourself. You're not a bad guy. You're a decent dude. But I can't help but feel like I've wasted so much time being a fool and a jackass that like now it's hard for me to come to terms with the fact that I'm not this slob. I'm not this sickened being that drinks too much. That I'm somebody more than that. But who? That drives me crazy. It drives you crazy. It makes it difficult for me to communicate with others, to find my place in social settings. Uh, I don't know how much of myself is acceptable anymore to present. When you're drunk, you don't care. You're like, oh, whatever. I'm just drunk. I want to feel like making a fool of myself. I'm gonna do that. And I don't know. I don't even know if I truly was ever happy. What does that even mean? I try not to think too much into it because then I just get stuck. Because the most important part of it all is I'm here. Like I'm here. I snapped out of it. I made it out. I never thought I'd be this sober, this clean, this confident. I still feel the effects of it. Don't get me wrong. I still have cirrhosis. Some people are like, "Oh, you don't look that sick." I was like, "Believe me, I feel awful. I'm tired. I'm nauseous. I'm irritable and I'm trying my best not to snap at you. But at the end of the day, I am sick. A part of me doesn't work the way it does for you. And that's something you can't understand. So give me a second. But I'm always on these tangents, huh? Like I realize there's a lot more life to live. It's just a matter of like, what kind of life do I want to build for myself now? What can I do for me and my loved ones that'll make me feel good and them proud? Like, it really does feel like a good chunk of you was missing the whole time. Because now I have so many things going on in my head. I don't know where to put interest into. Afraid to take a shot at something because it might be the wrong thing. It's like a complete rewiring of who you are, and that alone gives me like even more stress, more anxiety. Manageable anxiety because you're sober, but anxiety nonetheless. And I don't think that's ever going to be replaced. I think that you're always going to have this giant void in your soul that alcohol left. You know, it was just you and alcohol for so long. Now and then once you become sober, which everyone should be sober, like life is just so much more beautiful. Just take my word for it. See, look, I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, point is, like, a part you'll always be missing, because you broke up with something that was essentially a part of you. It'll always be there, and it'll come back 10 times worse if you ever decide to drink again. I Don't get me wrong, I missed like the experience of it, sitting down at a bar, having a snack, drinking a nice like a nice whiskey, just like neat, or like right after work especially, having random conversations with strangers, and then you blink and then before you know it, you're off to a whole adventure. But I miss it, but not. I wouldn't trade this for anything. I really do like being sober. I do. It gives me pride. But anyways, yeah, like I said, mental side of it a lot more complicated than the physical, in my opinion. I don't know. I have also a pretty high pain tolerance, so I don't know. Like, believe me, I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody ever, not even my worst friend. Uh, but I learned a level of physical pain that I didn't know I could stand myself. So that alone, I learned something. Something. Yeah, guys. Well, if you or a loved one, of course, as always, are at that point in their life where they realize a vice is becoming a problem, or something's becoming an addiction, or things like that. Like, they so try stopping it now. Like, the sooner the better. The sooner the better. So many people don't make it to this side, man. I can't stress that enough. So many people don't sober up. So many people never get it together. As you saw in my last video, like, someone close, I had to cut off ties with them. I had to cut off ties with a lot of people. But I feel like I have a decent understanding of who I want to be in life now. What it means to be, like, nice to others and don't half-ass anything. Appreciate the small moments. You never know what's going to happen. On that note, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.